you are into video game and video game news, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz! And we have some news to go over, but first let me talk a little bit about Cassette Beasts. Gameplay hasn't really changed that much since I last talked about it on my my last version of Thinning the Backlog. It is grindy to a certain extent, and I'm still having not a lot of difficulty, but the battles are kind of hard at certain points. I'm trying to get some quests done, and I seem to be hitting a brick wall a little bit on that, where I become incredibly frustrated with in this game. And I talked about it in Thinning the Backlog a little bit, but I'm going to get into it more here, is the odds of copying beasts are incredibly low. And I get from, when I start a copy, going from like 25% and then to 12% and then it fails. And it's just incredibly frustrating as to why that happens. And I wish, I guess I gotta look up exactly if I'm doing something wrong here, but it just seems incredibly frustrating where they only really tell you, oh, all you gotta do is whittle their health down and then you're set. And I do that, and then my percentages are so damn low that it's frustrating to deal with. I don't know if the level that I'm at matters to that, and if it does, I guess I'm going to have to grind more to get more creatures, but to me, the fun part of these games is getting those creatures and evolving them. And the cadence of them getting to evolve and get those creatures is low. I'm now about 2.5 hours in, and I've caught 8 characters. I think that's way too little at this point. And I think I've evolved 2 or 3. And another issue, I got to evolve another person, but I don't understand exactly how I got to that point. So, again, I guess I have to look things up outside of the game to figure out exactly what I'm doing. But I gotta say, I'm getting a little frustrated with the amount of, the little odds that I have to actually capturing beasts. If that continues, I might just drop the game at a certain point, but we'll see. I'm going to look up more on it. Maybe I missed something on there. And now that we got through that, let's get to the news that happened on July 4th to July 7th, starting with Masahiro Sakurai says he would love a new Kid Icarus game, but it seems difficult to get off the ground. Just a little bit of background on this. Sakurai did Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS between Smash Brothers games. According to his video on his YouTube channel, Kid Icarus wasn't originally supposed to be in Uprising, but he decided to put it on there after he already made the model for Brawl of Kid Icarus. He also talked about how it's a shame that Uprising is only going to be a 3DS title and how he would like to see it in a big screen. That's understandable. I would assume that someone who put so much time into that game would probably want more people to play it. My thoughts on it, Uprising had many issues in selling, including releasing around the time where the word of mouth on the 3DS was really bad, and the added fact that you needed a stand in order to play that game comfortably. I bought it used way back in the day, and I found the game completely unplayable without the stand, so I kind of just dipped right out of it. Uprising only got made likely due to Sakurai as well and his success with Smash Brothers. So if it wasn't for the fact that Sakurai had so much built into Nintendo, he probably would have been able to get Uprising made. So that's something to keep in mind. And companies don't want to pour more money into something that was considered disappointing in some sense or didn't grab a base audience without considerable reasons to do so. And as much as I would like to give Kid Icarus Uprising a chance, I know a good amount of people find the game actually a lot of fun and think it should get remade. I don't see Nintendo doing that, really, because I don't see enough of a clamoring for Kid Icarus at this point. See, I don't see that really happening, and maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see when that happens. Next one, Capcom is considering how to approach making another Mega Man game. Now listen to this before we get started. On a Q&A session in its latest annual meeting of the shareholders, a shareholder pointed out that the Battle Network collection sold 1 million copies after its April release. And the shareholder believes this is due to a user expansion. Now, I want to say that, first off, 1 million for Battle Network, the Battle Network collection, is really good. That actually, I thought it was going to be a little bit less than that, but actually that's way more than I thought. Some gamers thought this game was going to be, the series is a bit niche, and it's really, again, it's outstanding that it got these sales. However, compilations do tend to make more sales due to the value prospect of it. So if someone's interested in about maybe 1 or 2 titles in the collection, they're likely to pick it up because they're going to get an extra 4 or 5 in that collection, even though they want to just play those 2. Just by the value prospect of it, these tend to get more sales. The shareholders' belief that the user base expanding doesn't sound likely to me, however. Mega Man hasn't had a new game in years, and the most engagement it gets from its games are from people who remember the older ones, like me, like from Mega Man X, the Mega Man series from the NES. That's who basically engages with that property. My bet is if they are going to do anything with Mega Man, it's release compilations on mobile or find a new way to make more free-to-play versions of the game. There's a free-to-play Mega Man X version of that game right now on mobile, and it's on Steam as well. Another thing they could do is put Mega Man and other properties as a cameo, like they do with Marvel vs. Capcom, Project X Zone, things like that. I see more of that happening than making new games of Mega Man. I find them putting more money into a new Mega Man very doubtful, because the original creators are gone, and you're going to need someone powerful within Capcom to champion that in order to do that. So that would mean possibly the people who make Devil May Cry, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil. Call me crazy, but I don't see those people championing Mega Man at this point. So that's my opinion on that. And on top of that, 2D platformers like Mega Man don't bring in a lot of money nowadays. And the last time they tried to make it 3D, it was a mitigated disaster. The last Mega Man X game is the example I would give for that. I'm going to guess the next Mega Man game is another compilation. It'll probably be the Mega Man Legends compilation. And if they do another Mega Man, the only thing I can see them doing is reviving Mega Man Universe. This is the game that was announced mid-2010s. It was going to be a Little Big Planet, but Mega Man, where you get to create your own Mega Man levels and share it with people. I think that's what they're going to end up doing if they return to Mega Man, but we'll see when that happens. Next one, key members of the Banjo Kazooie team feel that they have doubt that they will see a sequel to Banjo Kazooie anytime soon. They cite their reasons as a lack of popularity in their game Yooka-Laylee. Despite a strong showing as a Kickstarter campaign, it got about $3 million in donations, and the fact it sold 1 million in copies, saying that's just not enough. It's not going to be enough to actually have Banjo Kazooie come back. I do think they're right. A style of game like Banjo Kazooie is likely never to get a big budget sequel from Microsoft and Rare at any point in time. This is mainly due with anticipation. Fans won't accept a sequel like Yooka-Laylee that pays homage. They want an expansive, gorgeous looking sequel that Microsoft and Rare is not willing to spend money on doing. Thus, it's unlikely that they will create a new one unless they take those expectations way down. That said, the reason that these developers give is also kind of weak. They only say because Yooka-Laylee wasn't a blockbuster. That surely means the audience isn't there. The problem is Yooka-Laylee didn't have great reviews, and on top of that, it had some technical problems out the gate, which is likely what contributed to the sales being not as great as they were hoping. My guess is if Microsoft really wants to make another Banjo Kazooie, it won't be made by Rare, but by a smaller studio who'll make a $30 game that is a throwback to the first two. Though, if it were me, I would do another Nuts and Bolts sequel. That game was outstanding, and it's my favorite Banjo Kazooie. Hate me all you want, but it's true. And let's get to the top story of today. Apple wants to take its legal battle against Epic Games to the Supreme Court. Now, if you are saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, didn't Apple win those lawsuits against Epic Games? They did, technically, but I'll get into that. This all started when Epic made a workaround for Fortnite to buy V-Bucks in its game on Apple and Android by circumventing the infrastructure that both systems had to make purchases. This led to Apple not getting a cut of those sales when they did that. After that, both Apple and Google took the game off their shelves for violating that right. Apple has won in the court battles thus far, with the Court of Appeals upholding the lower judge's ruling on rejecting Epic Games' claim that Apple is preventing other marketplaces on its iOS platform. However, that appeal also agreed that Apple can't restrict developers to include links and buttons that give users alternate means to make purchases, thus lowering the commissions Apple would be making on its platform. Ninth Circuit rejected another appeal, which is what led Apple to petition the Supreme Court. In its filing, Apple's attorney stated that the Ninth District overreached in its decision on a nationwide injunction, which disallowed Apple to block developers from circumventing its payment processing. Here are my thoughts on this. This is a very ballsy move by Apple, which might be necessary to do since it's the core facet of their business on iOS, but could also blow up in their face because Epic can also appeal its case to the Supreme Court as well. I don't know if that's going to work out for Epic, but that is still a chance that they could do that. If it does get upheld, this could lead to another lawsuit by Epic against Apple, claiming that deletion from the App Store was unlawful and needs to be reinstated. However, I do foresee the Supreme Court overturning this if they accept this case. it's likely they won't agree with someone skirting the rules that a business has given to be on their platform. It would require Congress to get involved if they want the laws to change. Yet, I also don't think it's a slam dunk that the Supreme Court will take the case on. So we will see what happens when the Supreme Court makes a decision. And that is the Gaming News Roundup, and that is the end of this episode of I Am The Wiz. Tomorrow, Kim Shackman and I are going to review the musical Once, and Sunday is a Sunday matinee. And until then, I am The Wiz, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.